So yesterday we started with the second chapter, second adhyay of Bhagavad Gita. That was Sankhya Yoga, or we call it as Gyan Yoga. And there are 72 shlokas in this adhyay. The Gita Gyan, or the knowledge of Gita, it starts from 11th shlok onwards. And from our exam point of view, we are going to understand or discuss from the 16th shlok. Now, from 16th to 30th shlok, nature of Atma or Atma Swarup, or how is our soul, that has been discussed. So yesterday we saw Bhagavan Shri Krishna telling Arjuna the nature of our soul. How is our soul? Our soul, okay, it is eternal. But because of illusion, we feel that it is the things that we see in the world, that is Sat, and that is only eternal, and other things are Asat. But in reality, it is exactly the opposite. Whatever we are seeing or experiencing as of now in this materialistic world, that is Asat, that is unreal. That is what Bhagavan Shri Krishna told Arjuna. And our soul, Ishwar, that is Sat. Further, he states that where is the soul, which is the place in the body where our soul resides? There, Bhagavan Shri Krishna says that there is no particular place where our soul, we can't pinpoint or say that the soul resides in this particular place in my body. It is everywhere in the body. Every cell, every muscle, it is there. Then he says that our physical body, it is perishable, it is going to be destroyed. But the soul is indestructible. Nobody can destroy it. It is eternal, and also it cannot be measured. That is the beauty of the soul. Now, those who are not aware or those who live in illusion, they feel that the soul kills other people and also the soul can be killed. But Bhagavan tells us that soul, it never kills anyone, nor is it killed. That is what our soul is. It's that beautiful. Further, in the next shloka, that is 20th shlok, Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells us that soul, it is neither born and neither does it die. So something that is not born, something that will never die, is our soul. So that means it always exists in the past, in the present, and also in the future. Nothing can destroy our soul. But a body, the physical body that we see, that we call as me or I, that we are proud of, that body is destructible. It is not eternal. Body can be destroyed, but our soul cannot be destroyed. In the 21st shlok, Bhagavan tells us that again, the soul is imperishable, it is eternal, it is inborn, and it is immutable. That means immutable means it doesn't change. Our body, okay, there was a time when we were a baby, then child, then we grew up to be adults. The one day we are going to be old and then die. So these are the changes that take place as far as our physical body is concerned. So we are continuously changing. This laptop or our mobile, today it is there, yesterday it was not there. After 10 years, it is not going to be there. So everything in this world is changing, and whatever is changing, it is destructible. But our soul, it never changes. And hence, it is imperishable, it is eternal. And the soul, it doesn't kill anyone, nor can anyone kill our soul. Just like we shred or we change our old garments and we wear a new one, similarly, our soul, it is transferred or it leaves the body that has become old, that is worn out, and it enters a new body. and continues its journey further. Bhagwan further tells us that there is not a single weapon, no matter how powerful a weapon is. There is not a single weapon that can shred our soul, that can kill our soul. And then he further beautifully says that the soul cannot be burned by fire. It cannot be dampened by water, nor it can be dried by wind. How can something that we cannot see, which is everywhere around us, you cannot catch hold of it and burn it or wet it, or nor can we dry it? Very important shlok, 21st shlok from exam point of view is very, very important. Achedya. I'm taking a little bit of time for this shlok because this is very important. How is our soul? How is our Atma? So Bhagavan tells us it is achedya, that means it is unbreakable. Adahya, it is incombustible, that means it cannot be burned. Akledya, it cannot be dampened. Ashoshya, that means it cannot be tried. It's nitya, that is eternal. It is sarvagata, that means all pervading. That means it is everywhere around us. Sthanu means it is unchangeable. Achal, it is immutable. Something that is everywhere around us. How can you move something that is everywhere from one place to another? We cannot do that. Therefore, Bhagavan says, our soul is achal. And lastly, Sanatan. That means it is primordial. It was there in the past, it is there now, and it is always going to be there. So it is Sanatan. This is the beauty of our soul. In 25th shlok, Bhagavan tells us the quality of a soul. I think we finished yesterday till 24th. So let's look at the 25th shlok from today. I'm going to read it very slowly so that you understand each and every word from that shlok, because the Sanskrit words are very important from exam point of view. You should know the meaning, the Sanskrit word for every English word that I'm telling you. Avyaktoyam achintyoyam avikaryoyam uchyate tasmadevau viditvainan nanushochitum harhasi. Now, Bhagavan Shri Krishna further tells us the qualities of the soul. What are the qualities of the soul? So here, Bhagavan is telling us that the soul is invisible. It is avyakta. You cannot see the soul. We can see the body, we can see the mobile, we can see the book, we can see people, trees, dog, everything, the road. But we cannot see the soul because it is invisible. That means it is avyakta. Vyakta is something that you can see with your eyes. Avyakta is something that is invisible. From exam point of view, Vyakta, they can give you in the option Vyakta also and Avyakta. So you have to remember, Vyakta is something that is visible that you can see, and Avyakta is something that is invisible. Then it is Achintya. That means it's inconceivable. You cannot achieve it by chintan. Now, a simple example for that I would like to give you is a dog. The brain of the dog cannot conceive the brain of the human, the technology. He cannot understand the technology. It is beyond his understanding, beyond his power. Similarly, Bhagavan Shri Krishna tells us that our soul is achintya. It is unconceivable. It is very difficult to understand. Avikaryo, that means no vikar. Vikar, that means disease. Avikar means it is free from disease. Why it is free from disease? Because every person, okay, we have three gunas, we know sattva, raja, and tama. But a soul is free from it, it is devoid of it. From devoid of all the three gunas, that is sattva, raja, and tama, and hence it is free from disease. Disease can be only to our body. That I have this disease, that means it is something related to your physical self, physical aspect of your body. But as far as the soul is concerned, it is disease free. In the next shlok, 26th shlok, अथ चैनन्नित्यजातन् नित्यं वा मन्यसे मृतम् तथापि त्वं महाबाहो नैनं शोचितुमर्हसि. In this shlok, Bhagwan tells us, if however you think that the self is subject to constant birth and death, O mighty armed Arjun, even then you should not grieve like this. So here Bhagwan is telling Arjun that if you still feel after explaining so much, if you still feel that you are subject to birth and death, that means you are going to die one day and you are again going to be born one day, still Arjun, you should not grieve, you should not be sad. Why he should not grieve? That he explained in the next shlok. जातस्य हि ध्रुवो मृत्युर्ध्रुवै जन्ममृतस्य च तस्मादपरिहार्येऽर्थे न त्वं शोचितुमर्हसि. Here, Bhagwan tells Sri Krishna, death is certain for one who has been born. So a person who or anything that is born or created is definitely going to die or get destroyed. And rebirth is inevitable. So something that dies is going to be born again. Therefore, you should not lament over it. Something that is inevitable, something that you cannot prevent. Why be sad over it? Why lament over it? If today someone is going to die, he is again going to be born. So what is the use of crying? Or what is the use of feeling sad? In the next shlok, अव्यक्तादिनि भूतानि व्यक्तमध्यानि भारत अव्यक्तनिधनान्येव तत्र का परिदेवना. Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells Arjun, all created things are unmanifest before birth. They manifest in life and again unmanifest on death. So why grieve? So Arjun is sad, he's grieving. Bhagwan tells us that if you feel that we are going to die and again we are going to be born, all created things are unmanifested. That means whatever you are seeing today, that wasn't there yesterday. Your brothers, your father, your cousins, your friends, they were not there yesterday. Before birth, they were not there with you. They are there today in this life. You can see them, you are with them. So they manifest, they appear in life. And again, unmanifest on death. And after death, again, they are not going to be there. So something that was not there yesterday is there with you today. And you know it is not going to be there with you tomorrow. If you know this, why are you grieving? Now, the next shlok, Very, very important shlok. 29th shlok. आश्चर्यवत् पश्यति कश्चिदेनम् आश्चर्यवत् दति तथैव चान्यः आश्चर्यवच्चैनमन्यः शृणोति श्रुत्वाप्येनौ वेद न चैव कश्चित्. Very important shlok from exam point of view. Now here, Bhagwan tells us that some see the soul as amazing. Some describe it as amazing. Some hear the soul as amazing, while others, even on hearing, cannot understand at all. Here Bhagwan is telling that Mahapurush, or those who have attained to yoga or have done certain sadhanas, have attained siddhis, they can see the soul and they know how wonderful it is. They can describe the soul. They can even hear the soul and they know how amazing it is. But common people like us, even after hearing what a soul is, how it is, still we cannot understand it at all. So here Bhagwan Shri Krishna is still talking about the normal people like us who are living in this materialistic world and feel that the illusion, the seeing around us, that is real. For us, no matter how much anybody tells us about this soul, that soul is like this, soul is like that, we will not understand it at all. Look, Dehi nityamavathyoyan Dehe sarvasya bharata Tasmat sarvani bhutani Natvam shochitumarhasi. Bhagwan here tells. Now here, Dehi word is used. Deha means we all know that Deha means body, the physical body that we see. Dehi means the soul that resides in the body. So here, Bhagwan Shri Krishna is talking about the soul. Dehi, that means the soul. He's not talking about the body. He's telling something important about the soul. What is he saying? O Arjun, the soul that dwells within the body is immortal. Therefore, you should not mourn for anyone. So here is telling that the soul that resides in your body is immortal, it is eternal. It is never going to die, it is never going to be born. So why are you mourning over that soul which is not going to die at all? It is going to be there with you always. Then something that is going to be with you always, why should you worry? Why should you grieve for that? Why should you be sad for that? Beautifully said. Now, in exam, there was a question asked. I have put those questions over here. That nasato vidyate bhavo, na bhavo vidyate satah. Ubhayorupi drashtontas tvanya yostatva darshibhihi. In this verse of Geeta, about whose immortality it is spoken of. So Bhagwan is telling about whose immortality in this shlok. 4 options were given: Prakriti, as soul or Atma, Sharir, and Ishwar. These were the 4 options given in the exam. And this was the shlok. Who is immortal? Is Prakriti immortal, Sharir, Ishwar, or Atma? So the right answer
Soul.
is
Soul.
Atma.
perfect. Atma. That's why very important to understand every shlok that I'm going very slow. I'm explaining you the words, Sanskrit words in English so that you understand what the question, no matter where the question comes from. If you understand what is said in that particular adhyaya, you will be able to answer every question. Very good. Next question. Ajo nityah shashvatoyam purano is mentioned in which scripture? Here options were given.
Bhagavad
Yeah,
Gita.
Bhagavad Gita, but along with Bhagavad Gita, see, in the answer, there are two options given. One is Bhagavad Gita, yes, we learned. But what is the other? I don't know if you have covered Upanishad, so I don't know if you will be able to answer. Your options are Prashnopanishad, Kathopanishad, Bhagavad Gita, and Yog Upanishad, Yog Tattva Upanishad. Have you completed Upanishad?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
No. Okay. So the answer for this shlok, Ajo Nityah Shashvatoyam Purano, it is in Bhagavad Gita as well as
Kathopanishad?
in Kathopanishad.
Kathopanishad,
Yes. Okay, so the correct answer for that is B and C. Let's move ahead to the next shlok of this adhyay. Karmanyevadhikaraste ma phaleshu kadachana ma karma phala heturbhur ma te sangotva karmani. In this show, Bhagwan tells us that you have a right to perform your prescribed duties, but you are not entitled for the fruits of your actions. Never consider yourself to be the cause of the results of your activity, nor be attached to not doing your duty. So Bhagwan here tells us that whatever work you're doing or karma that you're doing, do it or perform it as if it's your duty. So when you do something, considering that it is your duty, आपका फर्ज है वो, then you don't expect anything. So always practice or do everything or perform every action as if it is your duty, and don't expect any fruits or anything in return for that. And further, he says that never consider yourself to be the cause of the result of your activities. That means it is not that you are doing, it is not that because of you that particular thing happened. It is nothing related to that. Even if you are not there, still that duty would have been done by someone else. So don't get attached to doing the duty, nor be attached to not doing your duty, as well as don't expect anything from whatever you do. A simple example for this is the workers that are working in the factory. Okay, they do their work. Okay, they come in the morning, they whatever duty is there, they perform those duties, and they go in the evening back home. Do they carry the stuff whatever they have done? Now, for example, if a person is working in a glass factory and he prepares 3 or 4 beautiful things from those glass, maybe bowls or plates. So does he take it home thinking that I have done this, so it is mine? He doesn't. He performs his duty and he goes back because he is unattached. He knows that whatever he is doing here in the factory, he is doing it for the owner. It is his duty. If he was not there, someone else would have done it. So he is not attached to the work that he is doing. He is not expecting anything from it. Even the cashier who works in the bank, he has so much of cash. We go to the bank, we give him cash. So does he take it home every evening that today I got so much of cash? He doesn't. Whatever he receives, he keeps it in the bank because he knows that he's just a cashier. He's just playing a role. It is his duty as a cashier to collect money from people. And in the evening, he has to give all that money to the bank manager or keep it in the bank. So he's not expecting anything. He's doing it just as if it is his duty. Similarly, a soldier, when he goes to fight a war, he kills the enemy. But while killing the enemy, does he have any guilt in him? He doesn't have. He doesn't feel guilty because he knows that the government or his superior has given him that task of killing his enemy, and it is his duty. So he kills the enemy and goes home without any guilt. But if the same soldier he kills anyone who is not his enemy, the government or his superior officer has not told him to do it. If he kills someone for his own personal reason, then that is a sin. Then that is not his duty. That is something that he should be guilty of. So Bhagwan here tells us that whatever actions we perform, we should perform it considering that it is our duty. And when we perform actions in such a way, then you are not guilty. You will not bear the guilt of doing a sin because sin is not attached to it. Remember this even for your life. Another beautiful example is the trees. They bear fruits and they flowers. What if the trees decide, no, these are my fruits, these are my flowers, I will not give it to you? The tree that doesn't think like that. Similarly, even we as human beings, we should also have this point of view in our life that whatever we are doing it as a duty and we don't expect anything in return. See how beautiful your life is. Now, in 2.48, 2.15, to 6.23, all these shlokas, there are definitions of yoga that have been discussed. So I have taken all the three shlok together. So 2.48, Yogastha kuru karmani sangam tvakta dhananjaya siddhya siddhayo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate. Here Bhagwan is telling that be steadfast in the performance of your duty, abandoning attachment to success and failure. Such equanimity is called as yoga. So Bhagwan here is telling Arjun that whatever you are doing or whatever actions you are going to perform, do it as your duty and don't get attached to it. When we understand the effort is in our hands, we can make the effort, but the result is not in our hand. And we understand that we are just merely performing our duty. The results of whatever actions we are doing is only for God. When we have this bhav in our mind, then whatever we do, we will do it without any sin, without any guilt, without any expectation. And that is something how our thought process should be. The results, always think that whatever I'm doing, the result is only for the God. And we should dedicate everything that we do to Him. So, whatever God gives us, whatever comes in our life, consider it as a prasad of God, accept it, whether it is something that makes you happy, or whether it is success, or it is something that makes you unhappy or failure. Whatever comes in your way, consider it as a prasad or blessing from the God and accept it. When you have this feeling in mind, when you reach this state, then this equanimity, this balance is called as yoga. When the result doesn't make you sad, doesn't make you happy, you are always in a balanced state. That state of mind, when you attain that state of mind, it is called as yoga. Very important definition. 2.50. Yukto jahatiha ubhe sukrita dushkrute tasmadyogaya yujyasva yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Very, very important. One who prudently practices the science of work without any attachment can get rid of both good and bad reactions in this life itself. Therefore, strive for yoga, which is practice detachment. So, Bhagwan here is telling us to practice yoga. And what is yoga? In the previous shlok, that is the 48th shlok, Bhagwan tells us what is yoga? Yoga is not expecting anything in return. Do perform every action as if it was your duty. Now, in this shlok, Bhagwan is telling us that we should practice detachment, that is pratyahar. So, whatever we do or whatever work we perform it without any attachment. And don't worry if that work is going to give you punya or pap, that is sin. If you practice or if you perform any duty without any attachment, thinking that whatever I'm doing is for God and it is my duty to perform it, then God will take care of everything. That is what Bhagwan is telling over here. Because when we get attached to anything, that leads us to sadness. And at times, even we commit sin because of that. A simple example for that is a surgeon, a very skilled surgeon. He performs a lot of operations very skillfully because the patient in front of him is someone with whom he is not attached. He knows it is his duty as a surgeon to perform the surgery. So he will perform the surgery skillfully and he will walk away. But if one day he has to perform the surgery on his relative or friend with whom he is attached, will he be able to perform the surgery skillfully? No, because he will always have that in mind. What will happen? What if I go wrong? Will he be saved? What will be the outcome? And that same surgeon will not be able to perform his duty skillfully. What is the difference? He is the same skilled surgeon, but in the first case, he was not attached. He performed all the surgeries thinking that it is his duty. And in the second scenario, what happened? He was attached to the person who was in front of him. And that's the reason he became nervous. He started sweating. His hand starts shivering because he's scared what will happen to the person in front of him. And then here, the skill doesn't work that well. That's why Bhagwan tells us that you want to do anything, do it with detachment. If you do it in that way, the outcome, no matter what it is, it will always be good. In this shlok, therefore, it is said that when you get attached or you think too much about it, then your skill, no matter how skillful you are, that attachment is going to hamper your skill. You rightly said that in this explanation, the word skill doesn't come. But the meaning that is being told over here is about skill only. That no matter how skillful or how good you are, if you are attached to anything, I will add that line for skill. Okay. So you will understand what I'm saying. That no matter how skillful or how good you are, if you are attached to a particular thing or any activity, then you will not be able to perform it well. So get rid of that attachment. Then it is said that when you discard that feeling of attachment, you will be able to do everything very skillfully. And then the good deeds or the bad deeds, whatever it is, you will not be bothered about it because Bhagwan will take care of it. You rightly said, I have not put that word skill in this explanation. Okay, I thought of it while explaining, but I will add that in this explanation in this word file also. Is that fine? You understood what I wanted to say?
Okay.
That always remember. Now, again, one more example. Now, if after learning Bhagavad Gita, if I ask you a question or if I ask you any question in the class, okay, you are not so worried about, I'm not going to give you marks, you don't have to show the report card anywhere. So when you are answering, you will be calm and you will be answering. But in the exam, what happens? We know that it is the main exam. I'm going to be marked by someone. The result is going to come after that. So at that time, what happens? Then you're not performing it as just your duty. You're nervous. Your heartbeats increase and you're not able to do the same thing as skillfully as you used to do when you were at home or you were attending the class. So the root cause of anything is attachment. That is what Bhagwan is explaining it over here. I will add that sentence of whatever I have explained over here, so you will get a clear idea when you are revising. Next shlok is 6.23, the definition. Tam Vedyat Sukha Sanyoga Vyogam Yoga Sanjitam Sa Nishchayena Yoktavyo Yogo Nirvinna Chetasa. So here, Bhagwan is telling us that state of detachment from union with misery is known as yoga. And this yoga should be resolutely practiced with determination, free from pessimism. That means here, Bhagwan is telling us that when you're detached from anything, then whatever you do is not going to make you sad. You're going to be free from any kind of misery or sadness. Why Arjun is sad over here today in the battlefield? Because he is attached to the people in front of him. If he was not attached, if the people in front of him were someone he didn't know, then he wouldn't have been so sad. He would have fought the battle and faced the outcome. But because he is attached to the people in front of him, it is giving him misery. So here in 6.23, Bhagwan tells us that when you are detached from the union with misery, that means even that sadness, you are detached from that sadness also. That is called as yoga. So first Bhagwan tells us that be detached from the people or whatever materialistic world that you live in. So you will not be sad. And in this shlok, Bhagwan tells us that be detached from that sadness also. Don't be happy, don't be sad, don't have any feeling, be balanced. Again, samatva yoga uchyate. Be detached from that sadness also. And that is called as yoga. And this yoga, this type of yoga, being detached from the misery, from the sadness, this yoga should be practiced with complete faith, with full determination, without any doubt. We all know that whenever we practice anything with complete determination, with complete faith that yes, whatever I'm doing is right. Okay, when we don't doubt a particular thing, then the result or the outcome is always good. Yoga implies over here both attainment of bliss and freedom from misery. So here Bhagwan is telling you that when you are detached from that feeling of sadness also, then it is yoga. That means you will have a blissful state. Now, bliss is something that is different from happiness. Happy, when you're happy, one day you are going to be sad, for sure. But the state of blissfulness is above that, much, much above that. Blissfulness is attained at a level where you're absolutely balanced. When you are in connect with God, with the higher supreme soul, or when you are in connect with your real self, or in simple terms, when you go to a temple, you feel very blissful. So that feeling, in Marathi we call it prasanna. Or when we eat the prasad, the shira, okay, the sweet that we cook for Naivedya, when we eat that, when we consume that, we feel blissful. But that same prasad, that shira, when we prepare it on any other day, not in the form of prasad, we don't get that blissful feeling. We may enjoy it. We may feel happy, good about eating it. That yes, it is nice, it is tasty, I like that shira. Fine. But that is happiness, which is again going to take you back to sadness one day. Because the day you don't get to eat, you will be sad. But blissful is a state of mind which is very high above happiness. And it is attained. Once you attain that blissful feeling, you are in a different state. You are free from happiness, you are free from misery or sadness. So, dukkha, sanyoga, viyoga, very important words. You have to remember this from exam point of view. Dukkha, sanyoga, viyogam. One who is untouched by the misery of the world or the samsara. That is you. So here Bhagwan tells us that as a samsari person, because we live in this world, materialistic world, we should perform all our duties. It is not that we should not enjoy or leave everything and go to the forest and stay alone. Bhagwan is not telling us that. Bhagwan Shri Krishna tells here that stay in the world, stay in the samsara, perform your duties as a mother, as a father, as a brother, as a sister, as a son. Perform. But perform it by detachment. Don't be attached to whatever is around you. Perform everything, every action as your duty. In that way, you will be untouched by the misery of the world. Now, in the second line of this verse, Shri Krishna states that the stage of perfection has to be reached through determined practice. So it doesn't happen that one day I get up and I'm in the state of that blissfulness state. I'm detached from everything. I'm peaceful, I'm balanced. It doesn't happen that way. It needs a lot of practice. And then he further states, he goes on to explain how we must practice meditation, or how we must attain that state of blissfulness which is free from attachment, which is free from the fruits of action, free from misery. And that state is that of a sthita prajna. So in this shlok, Bhagwan tells us further, in the further shlokas, Bhagwan tells us about sthita prajna. But Arjun Uvach, that means Arjun is asking Bhagwan about sthita prajna. Sthita prajnasya ka bhasha samadhisthasya keshava sthitadhik kim prabhasheta kimasit vajrate kimasit vajreta kim. Here Bhagwan tells us about Arjun asks Bhagavan Shri Krishna, O Keshav, what is the disposition of one who is situated in divine consciousness? That means he's asking, who is a Sthita Prajna person? How does an enlightened person talk? How does that person he talk? How does he sit? How does he walk? So Arjun is inquisitive and wants to know about Sthita Prajna. How does he talk? How does he sit? How does he walk? So Shri Bhagwan Vacha, that means in further shlok, Bhagwan tells us, Prajahati yada kaman sarvan parthamanogatan atmanyevam atmanyevatmana tushtas stita prajnyastadocyate. So Bhagwan tells here how the Sthita Prajna is. Sthita Prajna is someone who is with steady intellect, transcendentally situated. That means he is a balanced person. So how is a balanced person? What do you mean by a balanced person? So Bhagavan tells, one who discards all the selfish desires. Now here you have to make a list of the qualities of Sthita Prajna. You can just put number 1, 2, 3. So one who discards all the selfish desires and cravings of the senses that torment the mind and becomes satisfied in the realization of the soul. Such a person is called as a transcendentally situated person. That means such a person is considered as Sthita Prajna. So who is a Sthita Prajna? So one who discards all the selfish desires. So when you discard all the selfish desires, that means that person doesn't feel that this is mine. He doesn't have that I or aham or ahankar in him. Whatever he does it as a duty, selflessly. This is the first point that Bhagwan is telling. Selfless or discards all selfish desires. He is selfless. Cravings of the senses that torment the mind. That means our mind is constantly running after the senses. For example, now we are sitting in the class, we are listening. If the smell of something nicely, for example, bhajia or chai, you get that smell, your mind, your senses will automatically, immediately run after them. And you will feel like, I want to have tea. That taste will come in your mind. The picture of tea will come in front of your eyes. So,
Ma'am,
discard. Yeah, just let me explain this first. Then I take the question. When one discards all the selfish desires, that means he works selflessly, and cravings of the senses that torment the mind. That I want this, I want that, I want a bungalow, I want a car, I want this. When he's free from this also, that means when his senses are in control, they are not running here and there, and becomes satisfied in the realization of self. What is realization of self? Realization of self means that he is completely absorbed in the thoughts of the super soul, that is the Paramatma. Whatever he is doing is for the God. He is performing the actions as a duty because he is supposed to do that. Such a person is called as Sthita Prajna. That is what Bhagwan is telling over here. Yeah. Okay. You were asking something?
Ma'am, does selfish desires mean the desires that are for oneself, that person who is desiring, or the works done for others will also include?
See, for when we ask something for ourselves, of course, it is a selfish desire. As far as work done for others is concerned, if we perform an action or we do something for others without expecting anything in return, then it is a selfless work. But if we are expecting something in return, okay, I did this and still she behaved like that with me. Or I did so much, but still they behave or they reacted in such a way. When we have this thought process in our mind, then it is selfish. You do it. See, we experience, simple example. We go out, we have kitty parties or friends, okay, or even our relatives. We feel, okay, we have done our duties, we are good at heart, okay, and we really go out of our way to help someone. And we do it from clean heart, pure heart. That because we want to do it, to help someone. But after a few days, if you hear that same person bickering about you or saying something negative about you, you feel very bad, you feel very hurt. You feel, I did so much for that person, then why is that person saying like this? So even when you're hurt or you feel bad because that person is saying like that, that again is a selfish desire. Because somewhere in your mind, you want that person to talk good about you. What our thought process, it is very difficult. Honestly, no matter how much we try, it is very difficult. But we should try. We do something, just forget and walk away. Then whatever that person says, good or bad, should not affect us. I always tell my students also when I take pranayam sessions that always think it in this way, that you did something because you wanted to do it for that person. Someone asked and that's why you did. It is never like that, because there are times when people ask, we don't do it. But there are times when we do it because we feel like doing it. And then, now, whether do something for anyone or no. Now, for example, there are 6 people, whatever people are here. So now, for example, Mauli says, okay, Anshuta taught well. Durgaji says, no. I don't like her. I don't think she teaches well or explains well. Lakshmi ji again has another thought process. Sadanand ji has another thought. Now tell me, just because Mauli ji said that I'm a good teacher, does that make me good? It doesn't. If Durga ji says, no, she is not a good teacher, does it make me a bad teacher? No. So, no matter what other person says, we should always give our best. We should always do the best from our side. What the other person says doesn't change us. Someone says, okay, Mauliji is very good. That doesn't make Mauliji good. Someone says, no, I don't like the way she behaves. That doesn't make Mauliji a bad person. Because Mauliji knows in her heart what she is. Don't doubt yourself just because someone said something about you. You don't become beautiful just because someone said you're beautiful. And you don't become fat or thin or whatever if someone body shames you. Don't let it bother you. That is their perspective. That is their thought process. That has nothing to do with you. Always remember, this is a simple, it is out of this, whatever we are teaching. But it is my thought process. किसी के कुछ हमें कहने से हम वैसे नहीं होते हैं. किसी ने कहा, yes, you're looking beautiful, doesn't make me beautiful. How come today I turned into a beautiful being? I'm the same that I was yesterday. Similarly, किसी ने हमारे बारे में कुछ बुरा कहा, उससे हम बुरे नहीं बनते हैं. That shows their thoughts, their mind, whatever is inside them, that is coming out. If they are happy on that particular day, good will come out from their mouth. They will see everything good around them. If they have sadness or complaints in their mind, if they are unhappy from within, they will look at the world in that way only. They will not see anything good in their in people around them. So just forget it. what other says. आपको करना है, आप करें, and just forget it. Leave it. If good comes to you, they do something, appreciate in return, it's fine. Otherwise, just leave it. It's 11:10. Should
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you. You are a blessing to us.
Mauliji, like everyone, just as said that I am not perfect. Bhagavad Gita is something that is honestly very deep. I will not say difficult to understand, but as a very deep meaning, I am trying from my side. I'm trying my level best. I'm not saying that I will be able to give the 100 like exact meaning of what Bhagwan wants to say. But whatever I have understood, I will definitely try to explain. It could happen that I'm unable to explain you all certain things. And for that, I apologize. Okay, should we continue because you don't have a lecture now? Or should we stop and continue this tomorrow? Let me know.
We'll continue, ma'am.
Okay, just 15 more minutes.
Everyone's, yeah, 15, everyone are fine with that. We will continue. Otherwise, tomorrow we will see.
Yeah.
For me, it's fine.
Okay, because we'll finish the second chapter today.
For me, it's fine, ma'am. As you say.
Okay. See, because for exam, you feel that there's a lot of time, but there is not enough time. Huh? No matter how much time you get, you're going to fall short of time. Huh? So, if possible, I'll complete the second chapter so you will be able to study. I'll share the notes also, and I will add that sentence also, which Molly ji had pointed out in that for you to understand it in a better way, and a little bit of explanation in that verse also. Please see to it that you recite the shlok in Sanskrit. I will share you one link also. You want to know how to pronounce? I will share you the link. It's a YouTube link. Very beautiful, slow pronunciation of every shlok has been told in that. From 1st to 18th adhyay. So whichever you want to listen, you can listen. It will be easy. Okay, let's continue.
Ma'am, one more thing, ma'am. That first chapter, yesterday you mentioned in the first chapter, there are 47 slokas are there in the first chapter. But I am following Bhagavad Gita as it is book. Here, the first chapter, 46 slokas are there, ma'am.
47.
But in Bhagavad Gita as it is book is there, no? In
Okay.
that book, so which book you are following, ma'am, for exam point of view?
Okay, I'll send the screenshot, but from exam point of view, also there are 47 shlok only. So if you have the question,
yes,
you're going to
okay,
take the 47 number only.
okay.
Ma'am, same question. Mine also as Muthulaji. I have also seen somewhere 46. That doubt is there, please.
Okay, no, from exam point of view, 47, even the book that I'm referring, 47 only. Okay, so in exam, if the question comes, how many shlokas? In the first chapter, you're going to take 47 number only. Remember that. Okay, and please do ask me any questions that you have. If I don't know the answer, I will get back to you later. But the more questions or doubts you have, the better it will be for you also and for me also. I appreciate you all asking questions. That means you are listening to what I'm saying and I'm not boring you all. Okay. Next. Shlok. Dukkeshvenudvinagmanas Sukheshu Vikataspruhaha Vitaragabhayakrodhas Stitadhirmuniruchyate Dukkeshvanu Dvignamanaha. Beautiful. Dukkeshu. That means here I have given the meaning separately because this is also again is a very, very important shlok. All the shlokas related to Sthita Prajna are very important. You should know the meaning of every Sanskrit word from these shlokas. So I have made a table, separate table, though the meaning are here, but still I made a separate table so that it will be easy for you when you are studying. So dukheshu means amidst miseries. So when you are sad. Sukheshu, in pleasure, that means in good times. Now rag here doesn't mean anger. In Sanskrit, raga means attachment. Bhaya, fear. Krodh, anger. Anudvigna manaha. Anudvigna manaha means one whose mind is undisturbed. Vigataha spruha. That means without any craving. Vitaraga. That means it is free. Vita, that means free. And then comes the word in the shlok that is raga. So Vitaraga, that means free from attachment. Then is Sthita Dihi. That means enlightened person. So again, here Bhagwan is telling about the qualities of a Sthita Prajna person. Add to your list Sthita Prajna. But when you're writing it down, making a list of the qualities of a Sthita Prajna person, write the Sanskrit word and then the English meaning of it. One whose mind remains undisturbed amidst misery, who does not crave for pleasure and who is free from attachment, fear, and anger is called a stage of steady wisdom. Same thing that we discussed right now. So Bhagwan here, Bhagwan is telling us that no matter what situation we are in life, we should be undisturbed. So the person who is undisturbed, who is balanced, even during the tough times or in bad situation, who does not crave for pleasure, who does not have that feeling that I want this, I want that, I want a car, then I'll be happy, I want a house, I want a new dress, then I'll be happy. Or I want to eat pizza today or a burger today. So someone who doesn't crave for pleasure, who is happy in the way he is, whatever he has, he's happy in it. One who is free from attachment, who is not attached to anything, is free from it, who is free from fear. See, if you're not attached to anything, you will not be scared of anything at all. Why are we scared? Or when are we scared? When we are scared of losing something that is ours, then we get scared. So free from fear, free from anger. So no matter what happens in life, we don't get angry. When we attain this state of mind, then that state of mind is called as Sthita Dihi. And that person is called as a Sthita Prajna person. Beautifully said. I understand. These qualities very important for us in life, for us to be happy. If not 100%, even if we try to practice it, still our life will change. So these qualities, remember in life, to have a good, happy life, try to inculcate these qualities in your life. Next shlok. Yas sarvatran snehas tat tat prapya shubha shubham nabhinandati nadveshti tasya prajna pratisthita. Here Bhagwan is telling us that one who remains unattached under all conditions and is neither delighted by good fortune or dejected by tribulation, he is a sage with perfect knowledge. So again, Bhagwan here is telling us about Asthita Prajna, that no matter what, there are no conditions, there are no star marks. Otherwise, everywhere we have star marks that yes, I am fine with this. But if this happens, then I am not okay. So there are always that small star where we have conditions apply in life. So here Bhagwan is telling us when we remain unattached to under all conditions, whether it is our son, our parents, or anybody, best friend, just be unattached. And is neither delighted by good fortune or dejected by tribulation. That means if we gain success, oh, I cleared NET exam. Now I am eligible for PhD. Now I am eligible for assistant professor. Don't be very delighted in that also. And if you don't clear, don't be dejected also. It is okay. I have not cleared. I will study again and I'll pass. When you have this state of mind, that state is called as a perfect knowledge, or that stage is or a quality of a Sthita Prajna person. Next shlok. Yada संहरते चायं कूर्मो संघानिव सर्वशः इन्द्रियाणीन्द्रियार्थेभ्यः tasya prajna pratisthita. Here Bhagwan tells us one who is able to withdraw the senses from their objects. Just as a tortoise withdraws its limbs into its shell is established in divine wisdom. That means whenever a tortoise is scared that the enemy or someone is going to come to eat it, or whenever he senses danger, just as a tortoise withdraws all its limb inside its shell, similarly, we should withdraw all our senses from their objects. Only then we will be established in the divine wisdom. Divine wisdom means self-knowledge or the real, true knowledge. We will be free from illusion. What is Sat? What is Asat? What is real? What is unreal? We'll come to know the difference. Next shlok. Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehinaha rasavarjam rasopyasya param drashtva nivartate. Bhagwan tells us, aspirants may restrain the senses from their objects of enjoyment, but the taste for the sense objects remain. However, even this taste ceases for those who realize the Supreme. This desire is destroyed completely once one realizes God. Now here, Bhagwan tells us that, okay, you have restrained your senses from all the objects. Okay, if I don't have this thing, a new dress, fine. If I don't have this jewelry, it is fine. We are telling this, okay? But it is not that our senses are completely restrained. Somewhere at the back of the mind, you still feel, agar hota to acha hota, chal jata. So somewhere that taste of objects still is there in your mind. Somewhere deep within, you have that desire in you. But when that desire, that taste, that also ceases or goes away, then you realize the Supreme. That is the point when we can say that, yes, I have understood the Supreme Self, that is the God. Now, simple example for this is at times to lose our weight, okay, we give up eating food that we love, or we may fast, not to lose weight, but because there is some vrat that we are doing on Monday. I have a vrat, so I'm going to fast. Okay, I'm not eating anything, but what if in my mind comes, oh, batata vada, bhaji, finger chips. If these things, they come in my mind, that means somewhere, though I am not eating, but somewhere in my mind, my senses, they're still craving for it. That desire is still there. That means I have not completely free from the illusion. I have not completely realized the true self. So Bhagwan tells even that should not be there in your mind. Next shlok. Yatatorhapi kaunteya purushasya vipashchitaha indriyani pramathini haranti prasabham manaha. Bhagwan here tells us the senses are so strong and turbulent that Arjuna, they can forcibly carry away the mind even of a person endowed with discrimination who practices self-control. Again, in this shlok, very important shlok, two words I have underlined also, pramathini, and the other word is prasabham. In exam, they do ask this. Pramathini and prasabham to underline or note it down at your end. Pramathini means turbulent, that means always active. Our senses, they are so strong and they are so active. They're always ready to run here and there. So those senses, they forcibly they carry our mind here and there. No matter how much we try to be a sthita prajna or a balanced person, our senses, they see to it that our mind runs here and there. So it is very difficult to practice that. Now in exam, the questions, I could not write the other two options, but the question was asked, what is the nature of senses according to Bhagavad Gita? So what is the nature of senses? That means how are our senses? So how are our senses? You need to remember these two words, pramathini and prasabham. Very, very important. Very important. Sorry. Okay. So please write it down at your end also.
Ma'am, prasabha means?
See, prasabham means forcibly. We forcibly try to control our mind. Now, when we are sitting for, even now when we are listening the lecture, okay, we are forcibly trying to concentrate. Or when we try to meditate, we forcibly try to meditate or focus our attention on one particular point. So we are forcing it. And initially, when we are practicing, you have to force it. No doubt about it. But what happens here? Our senses are so smart, very smart, that it forces our mind to run after the senses. So here, the force or prasabham is not in a good sense. It is for the senses who act as a barrier for us, and they take us away from being a sthita prajna or a balanced person. They forcibly take our mind away from what we want to achieve. That is a sthita prajna person. Next, only 4 more shlokas. Tani sarvani sanyamya yukta asita matparaha vashe hi yasyendriyani tasya prajna pratisthita. Here Bhagwan tells that they are established in perfect knowledge, who subdue their senses and keep their minds ever absorbed in me. So what happens when dharana, dhyan, samadhi, we know they are antarang. Out of Ashtanga Yoga, dharana, dhyan, samadhi, antarang yoga. So in dharana, what we do? We either take an object or a picture of Omkar or a diya when we are practicing Trata, and we try to forcibly focus on that particular alamban or an object. So we are forcibly doing it. In Dharana, But as we practice dhyana, we move on to dhyan. And from dhyan, we move on to samadhi. So as we practice meditation, what happens that initially forcibly we have to force our senses or force our mind to be absorbed in only one particular thing. But as we practice, it becomes very, very easy. We are easily able to practice dhyan. And with practice of dhyan, over a period of time, a person attains samadhi. So here also it is said that those people who have practiced yoga or who are Mahapurush, who are they, or who is a Siddha person who has subdued their senses, who have controlled their senses completely, and their mind is absorbed only and only in me, means in Bhagwan. There are no other thoughts, no other cravings, no other desires other than being with me. So they don't have to force, prasabham. They don't have to force anything. They have become completely absorbed with Ishwar. 62nd shlok. ध्यायतो विषयान् पुंसस् सङ्गस्तेषुपजायते सङ्गात् संजयते कामः कामात् क्रोधोऽभिजायते. So here Bhagwan is telling us that while contemplating or thinking about the objects of senses, one develops attachment. So how do you develop attachment? Because you think about it. If we don't think about a particular thing, we will never be attached to it. So what happens? We think about a particular thing, then we get attached to them. Because of attachment, what happens? Attachment leads to desire. And from desire, when we don't get that particular thing, what happens? We get angry. So it is a process. We'll see one more shlok because it is a process which is in continuation. Krodhat bhavati sammohas sammohat smriti vibhramaha smriti bhramashad buddhinasho buddhinashat pranashyati. Now understand. Again, I have made a table. Again, these two shlokas very, very important. Dhyayatah means contemplating. I have given the meaning of everything. Vishayam means the sense objects. Sangham is attachment. So what happens when we contemplate about the objects? For example, if I think about pizza, okay, what will happen? Sangha. That means I'll get attached. Then I will want it. That yes, I want pizza. So what happens? Kama, that means desire. Desire to eat pizza. So first what happened? I thought about it. Then I got attached and then a desire, it arises in our mind that I want to have pizza. But now I can't have. I'm with you all. So I can't have. Then what happens? When you don't get anything, our mind is like a child. When we don't get anything, what happens? The next reaction is growth. We become angry. Then when we become angry, does our mind think clearly? It doesn't. What happens? Sammoha. That means our judgment is clouded. We are not able to think clearly. When we are not able to think clearly, our judgment is clouded. What happens? Smriti vibram. That means our mind, it doesn't work properly. Then even the wrong things seem to be right and the right things seem to be wrong. And then what happens? Buddhinash. That means destruction of intellect. Our intellect is destroyed, and because of which pranashyati. What happens? One is ruined, he falls from the state of sthita prajna. That means, now for example, you're studying. For example, you're studying exam hai, aap pad rahe hain. ठीक है, you're studying, you're in a nice flow. Some guests, they come to your house. Then what happens? Your mind, it starts running. Okay, let me go and spend some time with them. Then you go and enjoy with them. Then you feel, oh, why did I do that? I wasted so much of time. Then you get angry on yourself. So all these things are attached to each other. So draw a nice flowchart or diagram. See here, what I have done is contemplation. When you think about a particular thing, you get attached to it. I want pizza, or I want a new dress. I want it, so I get a desire. Then there is obstacle and desire. When I don't get it, I get angry. So anger. Because of anger, what happens? Your judgment gets clouded. You're not able to think clearly. You can't differentiate between right and wrong. Then delusion of memory. Again, almost the same thing. You're not able to think clearly. Because of which, what happens? You take wrong decisions. And then destruction of intellect. And when this happens, you fall from the state of sthita prajna. There are questions, a lot of times questions are asked from this shlok. Select the correct sequence as per Bhagavad Gita. So for that, you need to have this with you clearly written, and along with this, see to it that you have written the Sanskrit words also, because as I said, nowadays in exam they are focusing more on Sanskrit word. Similarly, here also in exam they had given only Sanskrit words. So select the correct sequence. Sammoha. Sammoha means contemplation. Krodh is anger. Smriti Vibhram is delusion of memory. Buddhi Nash is destruction of intellect. Now tell me, out of these four, which is the correct sequence?
Phone number.
4. Perfect. What happens? Anger, delusion. Sorry, not phone number. It is. Yeah, right. Anger, sammoha, smriti, vibhram, and buddhi nash. This is the correct sequence. So please, this mark it as very, very important, and write the Sanskrit word for every English meaning and learn accordingly. Don't learn only the English meaning of it. Okay. Then next shlok. रागद्वेषवियुक्तैस्तु विषयान्निन्द्रियैश्चरन् आत्मवश्यैर्विधेर्येत्मा prasadamadigaccati. Here Bhagwan tells that one who controls the mind and is free from attachment and aversion, even while using the objects of senses, attains the grace of God. So here Bhagwan tells us that one who has control over his mind, complete control over his mind, who is free from attachment as well as aversion. That means he doesn't feel that I want this, nor does he stay away purposely from there. When this state of mind is there, even while using the objects of senses, he attains the grace of God. That means he is blessed by God. I will not read this. We will go very quickly. These are simple. By divine grace comes the peace in which all sorrows end and the intellect of such a person of tranquil mind soon becomes firmly established in God. Here Bhagavan tells us that by divine grace, by the blessings of God comes the peace of mind in which there is no sorrow, there is no happiness, there is nothing. And the intellect of such person of tranquil mind soon becomes firmly established in God. When this state of mind where you are balanced, there is no happiness, there is no sadness, there is no difference between success or failure. Absolutely balanced person, that person becomes firmly established in God. Now, in this shlok, very important here, Bhagavan tells us that yogi is awake during the night. What does it mean? It doesn't mean that he doesn't sleep in the night. What is the difference between those who have controlled their senses and those who have not? So, normal people, we don't have control over our senses. But when we practice yoga over the period, we get control over our senses. So, what is the difference between these two people? Ya nisha sarva bhutanan tasyai jagarte sanyami yasyai jagrati bhutani sa nisha pashyato mune. Bhagwan here is telling us what all beings consider as day is night of ignorance for the wise. And what all creatures see as night is day for the introspective sage. Here Bhagwan is telling us, let's understand it with a simple example. Bhagwan is telling us that they consider the opportunity of all the worldly pleasures. Like if you attain success, then you are happy. If you face failure, then you are sad. So for us, what we feel, here Bhagwan is telling that the opportunity of worldly pleasures as success, for us, success is day and failure is night. But on the other hand, those who are wise, who have attained the knowledge of self, they see enjoyment in success as harmful for the soul. And that is something that Bhagwan calls as night. When you start to enjoy the success or start to enjoy happiness, that according to Bhagwan is night. They consider refraining from all the objects of senses so that the soul is elevated. And then look at everything as day. So when your mind or your soul is in a state where success or failure doesn't matter, then that time is a day for a yogi. So for yogi, whether he has anything he doesn't have, success or failure, whether he has materialistic things or he doesn't have, for him, everything is day. And this is how Bhagavad has beautifully explained in this verse. The last shlok. That person who gives up all material desires and lives free from a sense of greed, proprietorship, and egoism attains perfect peace. Nirmamo nirahankaraha. And another important word over here is nispruha. So Bhagwan tells that the person who gives up all material desires and lives free from a sense of greed. Proprietorship means me, mine. And egoism. He is at peace. Why are we unhappy? Because we long for materialistic things. We long for appreciation, recognition. So as long as this feeling is there in our mind, we will never be at peace. But when we are free from greed, proprietorship and egoism. That means when we are free from greed, nispruha, nirmama, and nirahankar. These three words, very, very important. Spruha means what? Things that are things acquired and not acquired, but you need them to live life. We are trying to acquire them. There are certain things that we have acquired in life and certain we have not acquired. So those things that we don't have, we are trying to achieve. That state is called as spruha. But here in this shlok, Bhagwan is telling nispruha. That means Astitya Prajna doesn't require that too. Whatever he has, it is fine. So things that he has acquired, it is fine. And things that he hasn't acquired, he doesn't require those two. When this state of mind arises, that state is called as nispruha. And that person is called as a Stita Prajna. So these words are very, very important. Please underline these. Then last shlok, and then I have just given the whatever we have learned in this entire chapter, I have just summarized it in the last. Here, Bhagwan has described the Brahmi Sthiti. Very important. O Parth, such is the state of an enlightened soul that having attained it, one is never again deluded. Being established in this consciousness, even at the hour of death, one is liberated from the cycle of life and death and reaches the supreme abode of God. So Brahmisthiti has been described in the 72nd shlok of second chapter. So Bhagavan tells us when one is free from materialistic desires, when he's free from greed, free from ego, that state of mind is called as Brahmi Sthiti. And when one reaches Brahmi Sthiti, what happens? That means that person has become one with God. With this, the second chapter, that is Sankhya Yoga, ends. Tomorrow we will see the third chapter,